Nova Scotia into Hants County Legion Branch 9 for the Dominion Cribbage Championships 24-26 April. I trust the member for King Hants will be there to welcome all the participants. On behalf of all the constituents of Bruce Grey Owen Sound, I wish Tom, Mabel, Andy, and Terry best of luck, and may the cards fall in your favor. Yeah. Go Team Tara!
Yeah.
The Honourable Member for Oakville West.
Mr. Speaker, in recognition of International Women's Day, I joined CEVIS and Halton Women's Place to honor the strength, resilience, and contribution of women in my riding of Oakville West and across Canada. The role women have played in our Canadian story has always been one of strengthening our communities, driving innovation, and shaping a more inclusive future. A key pillar of that is women's economic participation, and that is why our government is investing in through the Women's Program and Wage to support projects that break down barriers to women's economic equality. Since 2018, the program has invested over $266 million in more than 700 completed projects across the country. These investments have supported over 400,000 participants while strengthening and creating over 4,500 partnerships between community organizations, employers, and service providers. I'm proud to be a part of a government that recognizes women's success, supports economic opportunities, and growth participation and equality. When women
The Honourable Member for Perth Wellington.
Mr. Speaker, the motto of the Lions Club is "We Serve." Rick Cinnamon truly lived that motto. He served for 33 years with the Ontario Provincial Police. He was involved with countless service clubs and community organizations, including the Mount Forest Lions Club, Mount Forest Legion, Mount Forest Minor Hockey, the Louise Marshall Hospital Foundation, the Mount Forest Patriots, England Funeral Home, and the Mount Forest United Church and Choir. He was a community builder in both the literal and figurative sense of the word. He worked to ensure that not only did the high school stay in Mount Forest, but also saw the construction of the new Wellington Heights Secondary School. And he played a key role in building the Mount Forest and District Sports Complex. We lost Rick far too soon, and our hearts go out to his family, his wife Patty, their 3 children, and 7 grandchildren. We can be thankful for Rick's life of service, because where there was a need in the community, there was Rick. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Brome-Missisquoi. Mr. Speaker, a few weeks ago I highlighted here in the Chamber Cowansville's 150th anniversary. Well, let's just say that the message reached Farnum, and I was gently reminded that on the other side of the Amaska River they're also celebrating 150 years this year. So today I pay tribute to the town of Farnum, which marks a century and a half of history, resilience, and commitment. And I congratulate their city council. Farnum is a community deeply rooted in the military history of Quebec and Canada. As of 1910, a major military training center was established there, helping to train generations of soldiers and support the country's defense efforts. This presence has shaped the town's identity, and it remains a source of great pride for the region. But Farnum is above all a community of engaged people who are proud of their history and focused on building the future. To all the citizens, volunteers, and elected officials, happy 150th anniversary. Brome-Missisquoi is proud of you.
The Honourable Member for Swift Current Grasslands, Kindersley.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has been running the country for close to a year, and so far is turning out to be another Liberal disaster, just like Justin Trudeau. First, his Ag Minister promised an emergency use for strychnine to control gopher infestations. With spring on the horizon, the time to act is now before the land gets destroyed. But instead, the Liberals ignored science and common sense and denied the emergency use application. But it doesn't stop there. Then came the ridiculous traceability regulations that no producer wants and no trading partner is asking for. Ranchers are rightfully outraged. The last thing they need is added uncertainty while CFIA waits for a new chance to impose more costs and red tape. But it doesn't stop there either, because the same Ag Minister is shutting down research centers that are vital for the future of the industry. They brought high returns for a century, and their loss will jeopardize the next generation of farmers. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is just another politician in a long line of Liberals who fail to understand the West and respect the hardworking farmers driving our national economy. The buck stops with the Prime Minister, and Canadians deserve better than Justin Trudeau 2.0.
The Honourable Member for Brampton Centre.
Today on International Women's Day, we celebrate the leadership, resilience, and achievements of women and girls across Canada and the world. Nearly a century ago, 5 determined women, known as the Famous Five, asked a question that today may seem obvious. Are women considered persons under the Canadian law? At that time, the answer from Canada's highest court was no. Refusing to accept that, they carried their fight to the British Privy Council, leading to the historic decision that finally recognized women as persons under the law. It was a turning point that reshaped our democracy. Soon after, Agnes MacPhail made history as the first woman elected to this House. Today, that progress continues, and in this Parliament, 104 women serve as members of Parliament and 17 serve in Cabinet. But while we celebrate these milestones, we must also recognize that there is still important work to be done to achieve true equality. Mr. Speaker, happy International Women's Day.
The honourable member for Cambridge.
Mr. Speaker, as we celebrate International Women's Day, I speak not only as Member of Parliament, but as a mother to 2 daughters and a grandmother to 5 granddaughters. Watching the women in my family grow has taught me that strength does not look the same in every season of life. Sometimes it is bold and confident, other times it is quiet, steady, and carried through long days and hard moments. I think of the women who came before us, who pushed through barriers so often without recognition, and who built the foundation that allows so many of us to stand here today. I also think of the women around us now, raising families, leading workplaces, caring for loved ones, volunteering in their communities, and holding everything together in ways that are rarely seen, but always felt. And I think of the girls growing up now, including my granddaughters, who deserve to grow up knowing they are valued, respected, and capable of shaping their own future. International Women's Day is about recognizing the women who shape our lives, our communities, and our country every single day. Thank you to women everywhere.
The honourable member for Drummond. Mr. Speaker, Quebecers have a rich, diverse culture that is unique in the world. Our creators have produced music, films, literature, and performing arts that cannot be found anywhere else in the world, and all of these extraordinary works are the result of wonderful visionary pioneers who've captured the soul of our people. We should thank them every day and celebrate their creations at all times. Unfortunately, it's often when they leave us that we measure their contribution and pay tribute to them. We've lost another one of our giants, Jacques Michel, from Abitibi-Témiscamingue, who created popular music that's both universal and fiercely Québécois. Songs like Pas besoin de frapper, Un nouveau jour va se lever, Amène-toi chez nous, Salut Léon. These works marked Quebec's entry into the modern world. They are monumental. For your work, for your love of Quebec, for your kindness and generosity, thank you, Jacques Michel. On behalf of the Bloc Québécois, I offer our condolences to his family and to all those who loved and admired him. And now, Mr. Speaker, I invite everyone to take 5 minutes to listen to his music again. You'll thank me for it.
The honourable member for Tayakon Parkdale High Park.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to congratulate Pempet Seering on his decisive re-election as Sikyong, or leader of the Central Tibetan Administration, Tibet's government in exile. More than 51,000 Tibetans in 27 countries voted in this election, a testament to the strength of Tibetan democracy. The hunger of Tibetans for self-determination, a right unanimously recognized by this House in 2024, is also on display on the streets tomorrow morning in Tayakon Parkdale High Park. Tibetan Canadian youth, students, and women's activists will begin a walk from Parkdale to the Chinese consulate to mark the Tibetan National Uprising. On March 10, 1959, tens of thousands of Tibetans in Lhasa rose up in peaceful opposition to occupation and were met with a brutal crackdown, claiming countless lives and forcing His Holiness the Dalai Lama and generations of Tibetans into lifelong exile. Inside Tibet, Tibetans are suffering a new form of oppression through colonial-style residential boarding schools that are depriving as many as 1 million young Tibetans from connection to their family, language, and culture. Canada joins Tibetans and supporters around the world, guided by the Dalai Lama and his middle way approach and steadfast support for Tibetans' right to self-determination.
The honourable member for York Centre.
Speaker, last week 3 different synagogues were shot at in the Toronto area. There was always conflict abroad, but it never spilled onto Canada's streets like under this Liberal government. The Liberals politicized the Middle East. Add to that their soft on crime agenda, and it's no longer safe for Canada's Jewish community. Please save the tweets and the empty platitudes, or Bill C-9, which will do nothing for the Jewish community. Deal with the terrorists in our streets and enforce existing laws. Now an Iranian activist is missing and police fear that he is murdered. Hundreds of IRGC agents safely reside in Canada. That's because Liberal immigration minister after Liberal immigration minister failed to protect our borders. Because Liberal public safety minister after Liberal public safety minister failed to deport them. When will this Liberal government start protecting Canadians and finally deport those that are connected to the Iranian regime?
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Thunder Bay Rainy River.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to pay tribute to a cornerstone of the Thunder Bay community, a great Canadian and a friend, Stephen Wright. Stephen used to say that his hobby was people, and he led his life that way. It was all about service to the community. He worked with Hockey Canada. He created Pro Kids to support underprivileged kids participating in sports, and led no less than 5 winning political campaigns. Stephen was a tireless advocate for healthcare in Northwestern Ontario. He was chairman of the board of Thunder Bay Regional and helped to bring it both a medical school and a cardiac care unit. To every endeavor, Stephen brought his characteristic wisdom, patience, compassion, and sense of humor. Stephen represented the very best of Canada. His impact on Thunder Bay and those who knew him will be felt for many years to come. Stephen, thanks for all you did. We miss you.
The honourable member for Battleford's Lloydminster Meadow Lake.
Mr. Speaker, with rising oil prices, Canada should be well positioned to supply energy to ourselves and our allies. But a decade of Liberal policies has chased away investment and production. Despite the rhetoric, the Prime Minister has not approved a single new pipeline to Tidewater, and his major projects office has not approved a single project. Now, another $8 billion project was put on hold, citing the Liberal industrial carbon tax and regulatory barriers. Canadian consumers used to have some protection when oil prices went up because our dollar did too. But today, we produce less oil, and that protection is gone. Canada has the resources to supply our allies and strengthen our economy. Why won't the Prime Minister get out of the way so we can fuel our allies and power paychecks at home?
The honourable member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles. Mr. Speaker, we've just celebrated International Women's Day. And let us take a moment to recognize how far we've come. The progress that we celebrate today was never inevitable. That progress exists because generation after generation, women have had the courage to challenge that which seemed unchangeable. But this day isn't just a time to look back. It also invites us to look at the world as it is today. And the current context calls for clarity. In many parts of the world, conflicts and crises are hitting women and children very hard. And even in our own societies, certain realities remind us that the road to true equality still has to be built. The rights of women are never definitively acquired. They live, they advance, or they regress depending on the choices that we make as a society. Because ultimately, equality is not built solely through major advances. It's built every time that we choose not to back down.
The honourable member for Regina Luban.
Mr. Speaker, we cannot control what happens abroad, but the Liberals do control the policies that are imposing on Canadians here at home an affordability crisis. Right now, we have the worst food inflation in the G7 and the only shrinking economy in the G7. The Liberal Prime Minister is going ahead with his newly renamed carbon tax, the Clean Fuel Standard. This policy now costs 7 cents a litre, but will rise to 17 cents a litre. This makes everything more expensive for our farmers, fishermen, and those who deliver food to our tables. The industrial carbon tax, which the Liberal Prime Minister will continue to increase, only makes steel, aluminum, plastic, and farm equipment more expensive as well. These costs are imposed at home, not abroad. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and remove their out-of-touch policies that will make life more affordable for all Canadians?
The honourable member for Brossard-Saint-Lambert.
Mr. Speaker, in these times of great geopolitical turbulence, I'm particularly committed to celebrating a multilateral association in which I place a great deal of hope.
Today, around the world, 56 countries are celebrating Commonwealth Day, an occasion to remind us of the commitments we've made to democracy, peace, and sustainable development. As chair of the federal branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, I am delighted to invite all members to a reception being held at 6 p.m. today at the Speaker's dining room. I also want to express Canada's delegation's delight when MPP Catherine Fife, a remarkable parliamentarian from Waterloo, Ontario, was elected as chair of the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians in October 2025 in Barbados after earning the support and admiration of a very demanding electorate. Catherine's unapologetic certainty that women are part of the solution and one can insert all manner of challenges here makes her a formidable voice in the Commonwealth family. As a fellow parliamentarian, I want to formally congratulate her and to assure her.
The honourable member for oral questions, questions orales. The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Control what happens abroad, but the Liberals do control the policies that they are imposing that make life more expensive, like the Liberal fuel standard. This is effectively another kind of carbon tax which adds 7 cents a litre and will rise to 17 cents a litre, meaning more costs for drivers, farmers, fishermen, and those who transport us our food. The Liberal Prime Minister is also hiking the industrial carbon tax on steel, aluminum, plastic, and farm equipment. These costs are imposed at home, not abroad, and paid for by Canadians. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and cancel their policies that make life more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for Jobs. The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is an energy superpower, and last year Canadian oil production reached a record high. No one can predict the future of energy markets, but our allies are looking for stable, reliable energy supplies in an increasingly uncertain world. That's why we're fast-tracking projects like the Taylor to Gordondale pipeline. That's why we're fast-tracking projects like the Sunrise expansion. That's why the TMX optimization is moving forward. Mr. Speaker, we are helping solve the world's affordability problem.
The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Well, let's look at the facts. Among the G7, under this Liberal Prime Minister, Canada now has the worst food price inflation and the only economy that's shrinking. All of this has gotten worse since he became Prime Minister. Instead of helping lower prices by cancelling Liberal taxes, he's driving them even higher. When companies who process, transport, store, or sell food pay more, who does he think all those costs get passed on to? We cannot control what happens in other countries, but we can absolutely control whether or not to drive prices higher with tax increases. Why not at least give Canadians a break from Liberal taxes and cancel the fuel standard tax and the industrial carbon tax?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's Monday. It seems that my colleague was missing in action. Mr. Speaker, in fact, we're taking back control. The first thing we did was to cut tax for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. That is the very first thing we did. And just to correct the record, Mr. Speaker, Canada is projected to have the second fastest growth in the G7, Mr. Speaker. And this morning, Mr. Speaker, we had the G7 Finance Minister call. We're coordinating our action. We're going to take action together to make sure that we can bring energy to the world, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The honourable member for Barrie South Innisfil.
Meanwhile, here at home, Canadian families, seniors, and businesses are still dealing with ideologically flawed economic policies, regulation, and legislation that has seen the cost of everything, including food prices in Canada, rise 7.3% in January alone. Taxes imposed on our farmers, fishers, and those who transport our food, as well as the industrial carbon tax, which this Liberal Prime Minister keeps in place, have raised prices on everything made with steel, aluminum, and plastic. Why can't the Liberal Prime Minister do the right thing and remove these failed policies that have caused unnecessary hardship and make life more expensive for our people and our businesses?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, when my colleague talks about ideological programs, I surely hope he's not talking about the National Child Care Plan, which has actually reduced costs for Ontario families by $16,000 per child per year here in Ontario. Mr. Speaker, I sure hope he's not talking about a school nutrition program, which families, experts, educators have all sung the praises of for ensuring kids get good food. I sure hope he's not talking about the dental care plan, which is helping low-income Canadians get their teeth fixed. I don't know what he means when he says ideological.
The honourable member for Barrie South Innisfil.
What I am talking about, Mr. Speaker, is our businesses and our people dealing with self-inflicted wounds, because they are. By failing to eliminate these ideological taxes causing cascading affordability impacts to the ideological, almost hate-driven attacks on our wealth-creating natural resource sector, every problem we have started here at home in 2015 and continues today under this Liberal Prime Minister. Our nation has the worst food inflation in the G7 and the only shrinking economy in the G7. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and caused by removing policies that have made life more expensive for our people and businesses?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, let me correct the record again. I know my colleagues like to say things in this hour, but you have to be credible. Canada will have the second fastest growth in the G7. That's what's reported by international agencies, Mr. Speaker. But when you're talking to Canadians, because it's Monday, Mr. Speaker, they should talk about the good news for Canadians. The good news is called the Canada Grocery and Essential Benefit, Mr. Speaker, because on this side of the House, we understand that we need to help people now, and it's really interesting to see the Conservative criticizing because they have voted against every program, Mr. Speaker, whether it's about farmer.
The Honourable Member for Richmond-Athabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is Monday, and once again we get to hear the Minister of Finance's cassette tape there. Last night, Mr. Speaker, I was at the grocery store. The cost of groceries is constantly rising. Eating should not be a privilege. So many Canadians do not have access to this privilege. The cost of food has skyrocketed. If you go to the grocery store and you see a family with 2 boxes of ramen noodles in their grocery carts, it's just wrong. We have the worst food inflation in the G7. The government must take action. When will it eliminate the fuel tax? The Honourable Minister of Finance. I know my colleague likes repeating things. Perhaps he can repeat this to all his fellow citizens. The Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit. That helps 12 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. That's something he can repeat everywhere he goes in his riding. If he wants to repeat a tape, then he should certainly use that tape, because that will help Canadians further, Mr. Speaker. When we spoke to the UPA, they said take structural measures, and that's exactly what we did. $500 million fund to be managed by my colleague to increase resilience and food security in this country. That's what taking action means. The Honourable Member for Richmond-Athabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, let's talk about action. Canada cannot control what the presidents in other countries do, but we can control our destiny. We have energy. Let's develop it. We have critical minerals. Let's access them quickly. We have a housing problem. Let's build houses. We have a food cost problem. Let's eliminate the industrial carbon tax. These are costs we have here at home, not abroad. I invite the Liberal government to use our solutions and implement them. We want to give Canadians some breathing room. When will the Liberal government finally take action? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Look, Mr. Speaker, I'm listening to my colleague. I think he must have read our game plan, except towards the very end. He's basically repeated what we've been saying daily. So there's still room on this side of the House if my colleague wants to join us. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, let's get back to the CURAM software. 85,000 retirees are having problems accessing their pensions. $5 billion in cost overruns, all of which could have been avoided had the Liberals done their homework, because CURAM's been causing problems all over the place. In 2006 in Australia, In 2012, North Carolina, Minnesota 2013, Ontario 2014, Maryland 2019, 20 years now. CURAM has been malfunctioning and costing more than expected. How did the Liberals not fix the bugs before launching CURAM? The Honourable Member.
The program that the member opposite is talking about, CURAM, is used by 20 countries around the world. This is a wild goose chase, and she knows it. 7.7 million Canadians have been successfully transferred to this system. In fact, we are working through the backlog. These are complicated cases, often paper applications. There is a hotline for urgent cases. Urgent cases are getting dealt with within 24 to 48 hours. Mr. Speaker, Canadians expect responsible, reliable delivery of benefits, and that's what this modernization provides.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals could have avoided the CURAM fiasco by studying its failures around the world, because it's been going on for 20 years. They could have also listened to the Auditor General, who noted an explosion in costs as early as 2023. In fact, they could have also listened to the Public Accounts Committee, which had been looking into this since 2023. Notably, Nathalie Sinclair-Desgagnés, the former and soon-to-be member of Parliament for Terrebonne. But the Liberals listened to no one, and now they are embroiled in another IT fiasco. When will there be a public and independent inquiry? The Honourable Minister.
That 7.7 million seniors are getting reliable, modern delivery of benefits, and say that this is a disaster. I'm not sure what the member opposite is talking about. She'd have us go back to a system that's 60 years old, Mr. Speaker, paper-based, hackable, Mr. Speaker. It would fail, Mr. Speaker. In fact, the Auditor General said that the old system was so frail that Canadians couldn't count on it. Is that what she wants to keep delivering for Canadians? We're about moving forward with the future, and Canadians expect benefit delivery that's reliable and safe.
The Honourable Member for l'Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Mr. Speaker, when the Liberals say that CURAM is a success story, they forget to tell us that it's a global success story. La Presse reveals that 5 other states that have implemented CURAM have faced the same problems and cost overruns. This has been going on since 2006 in Australia. That's 20 years. And yet the Liberals have learned nothing from this. The result is 85,000 seniors that are victims, and it is costing us $55 billion in cost overrun. And in the Public Account Committee, the Liberals are filibustering to prevent us from shedding light on this. When will there be an independent public inquiry?
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my colleague for the question, but they're conflating things. It doesn't make much sense. They should listen to a technical briefing so that they fully understand what this is about. The Bloc Québécois is referring to the Auditor General. In 2014, the Auditor General raised the alarm, saying, deal with this having this 60-year-old system is going to be a failure. You need to modernize, and that's exactly what we did. 7.7 million seniors receive their payments in a reliable way, in a safe way, and that's our commitment to seniors in our country.
Market Aurora.
Canada has the worst food inflation and the only shrinking economy in the G7, and no wonder. The Liberals' increase in fuel standard is already costing Canadians 7 cents per litre today, and it will rise to 17 cents per litre by 2030, hitting the farmers, fishermen, and the truckers who put food on our tables. And these costs are entirely made in Ottawa by this Liberal government. If the Prime Minister is so focused on what we can control, then why doesn't he stop pointing fingers and scrap the taxes that are making life so unaffordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Speaker, I know it's Monday, Mr. Speaker, and on Monday we expect good news. But, Mr. Speaker, what I think we should tell Canadians is actually what this government has been doing in order to make life affordable and this economy competitive. Mr. Speaker, this government has presented one of the most ambitious budget in our history, Mr. Speaker. Generational investment in infrastructure, generational investment in housing, generational investment in productivity and competitiveness, generational investment in our defense. Mr. Speaker, instead of talking the Canadian economy down, they should celebrate our worker, celebrate our Canadian industry, and celebrate our country.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, the Finance Minister should know better. Those huge deficits, generational deficits, are what's driving inflation up in this country. Now, going back to the cost of food, which was my initial question, they have also failed to drive competition. Instead of keeping these countless taxes on the building blocks of our food supply, they should address them. And the reality is, Mr. Speaker, Canada is falling behind, not because of global forces, but because of their choices. Will the Prime Minister finally take responsibility and remove these policies that are driving up the cost of food for every Canadian?
Honorable Ministre des Finances.
Down, Minister.
Speaker, on this side of the aisle, we will take responsibility for building the strongest economy of the G7. That I can tell, Mr. Speaker, we'll do that. And we'll do that with Canadian workers. We'll do that with Canadian industry. We'll do that with our partners around the world, Mr. Speaker. We just come from a mission in India and in Australia. I can tell you, the world wants what Canada has to offer. We have highly skilled workers. We have strong industries, Mr. Speaker. We build boats, we build cars, we build ships. We have critical minerals. We have energy in abundance. And we are the only G7 country with a free trade with all G7 nations. Mr. Speaker, we believe in Canada on this side of the aisle.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, Liberals like to blame global pressures, but the policies driving up the cost of living in Canada are made right here in Ottawa. Canada now has the worst food price inflation in the G7 and the only shrinking economy in the G7. In Newfoundland and Labrador, nearly all groceries arrive by truck or ferry, yet the Prime Minister is pushing ahead with the newly renamed carbon tax, the clean fuel standard, which adds 7 cents a litre, climbing to 17. That will drive up the cost of transporting food right to the grocery shelf. When will the Liberals take responsibility for their policies and stop making life more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Speaker, I'm going to follow from my colleague next to me and talk about good news on a Monday. Bay du Nord project.
Yeah.
An example in Newfoundland and Labrador of getting workers on the job in our province, building our economy, building our infrastructure. This is a good news project. And I invite my colleague in the opposition from Newfoundland and Labrador to get on board.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, that's a complete deflection, but if that minister wants to talk about Bay du Nord, she knows it was the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador who fought to see that project move ahead. This government spent years creating barriers, and now that minister is trying to take credit. But that does not answer the question about the cost they are imposing today. Someone recently called my office and said he's been heating his room with his oven because he can't afford to put oil in his tank. When will they take responsibility for the policies they are imposing that is making life more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister.
To know who made that project possible. And then I'm going to say to her that I will never politicize the challenges that people have in our province and in this country and food security. And that's why the programs that we have in place are so important. Actual supports for families, for seniors. I invite this member, and I'm happy to bring her to speed on the programs that exist, but don't politicize what is so important to people's lives.
The Honourable Member for Sarnia-Lambton-Bickedronong.
Mr. Speaker, we can't control what happens abroad, but the Liberals do control the policies that they are imposing that make life more expensive for Canadians. Today, we have the worst price inflation and the only shrinking economy in the G7. Policies like the fuel standard that adds 7 cents a litre, rising to 17 cents, will apply to those who bring us our food, while the industrial carbon tax raises the price on steel, aluminum, plastic, and farm equipment. When will the Liberals accept responsibility for what they can control and remove their policies that make life more expensive for Canadians?
And the Honourable Minister for Artificial Intelligence and Digital
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While the opposition talks the economy down, we are building it up. We have a plan to make life more affordable. We cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We eliminated the consumer carbon tax. We cut the GST for first-time home buyers. We also have the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, which will add about $18
$190 to an average family of 4 this year. Instead of talking the economy down, which is all they do, why don't they join us and build this country up?
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent at Cowanrac. Mr. Speaker, in 2016, former Mayor of Laval, Vaillancourt, was found guilty of stealing $7 million from Laval residents. Since then, the money's been recovered, returned to the city, and guess what? This Liberal government is asking the city of Laval to write Mr. Vaillancourt a check for $1 million. Not only have the people in Laval been subject to this once, but now that this money is coming out of their pockets from the Liberal government. Can the Minister of Finance tell the Lavallois that the Honourable Minister of Finance? I did not see the individual. I have an impression, but certainly no one can scream out in that way at question period. The question period belongs to those who ask a question and those who answer a question. Where were we? Who had risen? We're not starting again. The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, first off, I'd like to thank my colleague. That's a serious question, complex question. I can inform him and the people of Laval that I contacted the Mayor of Laval today, that I actually summoned the Commissioner for the CRA so that we can work hand in hand to find a solution that is in the interest of the residents of Laval. I'd like to thank the journalist Thomas Gerbet from Radio-Canada who made this situation public. The Revenue Minister did nothing, should have gained inspiration for what was done in Quebec. In 2016, a Minister of Finance in Quebec said that to their government was an issue of fairness for citizens of Laval who were the main victims of this issue. Did the Minister of Finance speak with the Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Finance, who took the decision and not simply after a reporting from Radio-Canada? Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, I thank my colleague for his question. Seriously speaking, it's a very complex matter, and I think he should act rigorously because the situation is far more complex than what he's presenting to this House today. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that I contacted the Mayor of Laval this morning myself. I contacted the CRA Commissioner. As I was saying, we are focused on solutions. We will find a solution that is in the interest of the residents of Laval. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, expropriations won't make the high-speed rail project a success, but social license may. Listen to Alto's CEO's response to concerned farmers. He confirms there will be expropriations, and he said, I hope it won't be the main tool. He hopes that expropriation will not be the main instrument used. Mr. Speaker, he confirms that Alto has the means to do this and that it will, if necessary. At this point, I'd say that looks like a threat. When can we expect respect for and real discussions with the people of the North Shore? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government is quite sensitive to what's happening in Mirabel, and we will, of course, be working with the mayor as well as other representatives, the UPA, farmers, my colleague, Minister of Transport, and others are working on this very file. At the same time, we know that the high-speed rail project is a good project, but like my colleague says, social license matters, and we are able to do both. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, put yourself in the shoes of the citizens of Terrebonne and Mirabel. Not only is the CEO of Alto confirming that there will be expropriations, but he hopes, quote, that this won't be the main tool that's used. So he confirms that it could happen. Mr. Speaker, our people want respect. The cities of Terrebonne, Mascouche, Mirabel want real consultations on the route. They want local economic benefits. And the North Shore's role in the high-speed rail project will not simply be to be trampled over. Will the Liberals finally demand that Alto seek social license on this? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
To work together to make major projects happen, and that's what our government's doing. We're maintaining an open dialogue with other levels of government, with farmers, with unions, with all community stakeholders. We need to build this country together, and we're looking forward to the cooperation that's going to happen.
The honourable member for Lakeland.
Well, a global surge in oil prices should be a good chance for Canada, home to the 4th largest oil reserves on Earth. But despite the PM's rhetoric and photo ops, there's not one new cross-border export pipeline to anywhere. The costly Major Projects Office hasn't approved one yet, and the federal industrial carbon tax drives away Canada's producers like CNRL that just paused an $8 billion project due to regulatory uncertainty. Canada can and should be the world's top energy choice. Why won't the PM get out of the way so Canada can fuel allies and power paychecks at home?
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Mr. Speaker, it's Monday, so there's good news. We recently approved the Taylor to Gordondale pipeline. Mr. Speaker, more good news. We announced the Sunrise Pipeline Expansion Project. And Mr. Speaker, the TMX just announced the optimization project, the first of 3 optimization projects to grow our energy exports.
The Honourable Member for Lakeland.
None of those are new pipelines for exports. Now, usually high prices mean a high dollar, but Canadians are paying the price. The Liberals promised a Pacific pipeline to remind them, but they keep their unlawful never build anything anywhere build C-69, their drilling and tanker bans, their federal industrial carbon tax that drives away investments. Because the more these Liberals say they're different, the more things stay the same. Canadians want pipelines now more than ever, but wait for the Liberals to keep their word. When will the PM, who helped Trudeau kill billions in projects and thousands of jobs, get that Pacific pipeline done for Canadian unity, sovereignty, and accountability?
The Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the province of Alberta is really excited about working with us. They're working with us on the MOU, and they've said by the summer they will be coming forward with a proposal for a new pipeline. It would be great if the Conservatives got on board and started working with the government of Alberta and the federal government to build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
Despite the government's claim, the Prime Minister has not approved a single new pipeline to Tidewater. Even with sweeping new powers, the Major Projects Office has yet to approve a single major project, let alone one in Canada's oil sands. Canada's energy sector could help supply our allies, strengthen our economy at home, diversify our trade, and provide greater economic certainty in an uncertain world. Why won't the Prime Minister support responsible energy development so Canada can help our economy and our allies?
Honourable Minister.
I invite the Conservatives to work with us to grow our energy exports. The province of Alberta is doing that. Why can't they get on board?
Member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
We are on board, Mr. Speaker. Rising oil prices should be a major opportunity. Canada is home to the 4th largest oil reserves. Yet, Canada's leading energy companies have been clear. It is the Liberal anti-energy laws that are killing economic growth in our country. Instead of building, we're seeing projects stall. Last week, CNRL paused an $8 billion project because of Liberal anti-development policies and laws. This would have been thousands of jobs in Fort McMurray Cold Lake and right across Canada. So why won't they just get out of the way so that we can get pipelines built?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are working with the Alberta government, and guess what? Canadian oil production reached record high last year. Record high. And we're helping with the TMX optimization. We're helping with the Taylor to Gordondale pipeline. We're helping with the Sunrise expansion. Why don't they get on board, Mr. Speaker?
Honourable Member for Medicine Hat.
Speaker, rising oil prices should be an enormous opportunity for Canada's economy, but Liberal anti-energy ideology blocks this sector. Despite grand speeches and meaningless MOUs, the Liberals have failed to approve any pipeline to Tidewater, and their Major Projects Office has done nothing, approved nothing. Canadian energy should stabilize global markets, support our allies, and strengthen our own economy. When will the Prime Minister get out of the way, unblock our resources so we can fuel our friends abroad and power paychecks here at home?
The Honourable Minister.
Hopefully the Conservatives will be supportive of us putting the Silissum project to the Major Projects Office. Maybe they'd be supportive of us putting LNG Canada 2 to the Major Projects Office. Maybe they'd be supportive of the TMX optimization. Maybe they'd be supportive of the Taylordale to Gordondale expansion. Maybe they'd be supportive of the Sunrise expansion. We are building Canada. They should get on board.
The honourable member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, last week thousands of investors, workers and innovators gathered in Toronto for the PDAC convention, the world's largest mining conference. Canada has the critical minerals that the world needs for electric vehicles, clean technology and national security. Right. Last week our government announced new investments to accelerate mining projects and strengthen our supply chains with allies. Could the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources update the House on how Canada will help build mines faster, attract investment, create jobs, and build a strong, resilient Canadian economy?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for her question and for her strong support of the mining sector. At PDAC last week, our government showed that Canada is leading our allies to secure critical mineral supply chains. We announced investments in 22 new projects to help connect mines to markets. Through the Critical Minerals Production Alliance, Canada has secured 30 new deals with 12 different allies to bring 18 billion of new investment to Canadian critical mineral sector.
The honourable member for Wellington, Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, it's been 4 years since the war in Ukraine began, and it's been 4 years since we called on the government to expedite Canadian LNG exports for allies like Germany. It's been 8 months since Parliament has given the government power to expedite new oil and gas projects for exports to Europe and Asia. Right. And 8 months where not a single new export project like that has been approved. When will the government get serious about Canadian energy policy, or do we have to wait for another 4 years of inaction?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Perhaps the Conservatives weren't here last week. We just approved the Bay du Nord project to export our energy to the world.
The Honourable Member for Wellington, Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, the question was about LNG exports. Exactly. When the war began in Ukraine, it took Germany only 194 days to approve and build a new LNG export facility, and another new 4 facilities were quickly brought online shortly thereafter. Over 194 days ago, this Parliament gave the government unprecedented powers to expedite new gas projects, to expedite LNG for Europe and Asia. And now we have a war in the Middle East. When is the government going to use these new powers and approve new LNG exports for Europe or Asia?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Our government is focused to attract foreign direct investment in this country. Last year alone, we were close to $100 billion attracted to Canada, the highest it's been in close to 18 years. That's something to celebrate, Mr. Speaker. People are looking to our LNG projects, over a handful in various phases of development. LNG Canada 1, first shipment out to Asia. LNG Canada 2 will be the second largest LNG facility in the world. We are there. We are going to export our energy to various places around the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Canada now leads the world in shootings against Jewish institutions. We've heard countless condemnations and been offered endless thoughts and prayers from the Liberal government. They failed to address the fact that terrorists live in Canada, that institutions can't access security funding, that there is zero enforcement of the laws that are already on the books. And I'm going to give the Minister of Public Safety an opportunity. Get up in his chair, say that it's terrorism, and tell this House what he's going to do, when he's going to do it, and how he's going to do it.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, let me extend my condolences to the communities at Beth Avram Yosef, Toronto, as well as the Sharai Shanomim Synagogue, as well as the Temple Emmanuel, who were shot at last week, Mr. Speaker. I've had the opportunity to meet with many members of the Jewish community, and I can tell you that we absolutely condemn these acts of violence, and we will take every effort to ensure that this does not happen, Mr. Speaker. We're working with law enforcement. We're working with the province as well as the municipalities to ensure the safety and security of all Canadians, particularly Jewish Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
He still has
hasn't said a thing. The community does not need the empty condemnations. They need action from a government that has let this spiral out of control for more than 2 years. They've taken every side of the issue except for the side that protects Canadians. Fund the security programs. Hunt down and lock up the people who perpetrate the violence. Enforce the law and deport the terrorists that the minister knows live here in Canada. When is he or anyone in the government going to say any of those things?
Yeah!
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me just say, since last November, we have funded over 108 projects relating to Jewish community institutions. But let me also say, Mr. Speaker, this is a moment where all Canadians need to come together, including the Conservative Party. There's a bill right now, Bill C9, that is meant to support and ensure the safety and security of institutions, particularly those who are serving the Jewish community. I've heard from communities across Canada, across the country, Mr. Speaker. It is time for the Conservative Party to act and to ensure that Bill C9 becomes law.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, in 2018, we tabled a motion asking the Liberal government to immediately add the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to the list of terrorist organizations, but it took the Liberals 6 long years to wake up and do that. And currently, it is estimated that 700 members of the IRGC are still living the good life in Canada. And I hesitate to ask this question, but if it took them 6 years to do something so simple, how much time will it take before they expel these terrorists from Canadian soil? Can the Prime Minister tell us if they will finally take action? The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Speaker, I can assure the member opposite that the IRGC is listed as a terrorist entity in Canada. Those who are members of the IRGC are facing consequences, Mr. Speaker. They have been removed already. There's a number. We're going through our process to be removed. We will ensure the safety and security of Canadians. This past week, Mr. Speaker, I've had a chance to speak to members of the Iranian community who have highlighted the need for collaboration to ensure that we work together, to ensure that those who belong to terrorist entities are addressed and removed from Canada.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, indeed, we are hearing from the Iranian Canadian community, and they are telling us that it is problematic to have IRGC members on Canadian soil. We're not talking about a couple of people. We're talking about hundreds of people with links to that terrorist organization. It's been years that nothing has been done. Can the minister confirm that there are still 700 of these people on Canadian soil? And will everything be done to clean them out of this country as quickly as possible?
Mr. Speaker, let me share some information with the member opposite. First and foremost, we've had over 18,000 applications for inadmissibility that's been reviewed by the Canada Border Service Agency, Mr. Speaker. We've opened over 170 investigations, and approximately 240 visas have been cancelled by the IRCC. We will continue to ensure the safety and security of Canadians. Our system works. We have listed the IRGC as a terrorist entity, and CBSA is taking efforts to ensure that those who are inadmissible are removed, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary-Nose Hill.
The minister just claimed that they've deported Iranian officials, yet news reports state that they've deported one out of 700. Worse, today the head of the IRB said that she couldn't answer why they agreed to keep a deportation hearing of an Iranian regime official secret. I don't understand this. When will the Liberals start deporting Iranian regime officials?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the CBSA is working to ensure that those who are inadmissible to Canada, who are members of the IRGC, who have held ranks within the IRGC, are removed expeditiously. We've already started that process, Mr. Speaker. As you know, we listed the IRGC as a terrorist entity. We've started the removal process. Others are continuing. I just want to highlight that over 240 visas have been canceled by the IRCC in anticipation that their membership in the IRG can constitute inadmissibility to Canada, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary-Nose Hill.
Well, here's a problem. Mahdi Naziri, he was a propaganda distributor, the political deputy of the Iranian regime's Friday Imams Policy Making Council, and a deputy at the Supreme Leader's office at the UAE. yet he's still in Canada. Doesn't seem like the CBSA or the minister is doing a very good job. Why have they only deported one of these thugs?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear. Members of the IRGC are ineligible, inadmissible to be in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The CBSA are taking...
So I lost the sound on the mic, and there was some other ambient noise as well. So if the Honourable Minister could, because it's a very important question, if the Honourable Minister could start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear. Members of the IRGC are inadmissible to be in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The Canada Border Service Agency is removing those individuals who are deemed to be inadmissible, who are members of the IRGC. There's also processes that are being undertaken to ensure the expeditious removal of those individuals. But let me also say the IRCC is taking proactive steps to ensure that those who are ineligible to be here, including 240 individuals who've been refused visas for their alleged involvement with the IRGC.
Well, member for Richmond Hill South.
Conflicts have always existed overseas, but under this Liberal government, we are now seeing those conflicts spill onto our streets here at home. Last week alone, 3 synagogues in the GTA were targeted with gunfire, and now an Iranian dissident has gone missing, possibly a homicide, while members of the community fear the regime in Tehran may be involved. After years of Liberal open border failures and soft on crime policies, hundreds of IRGC regime agents are believed to be living safely here in Canada. When will this Liberal government finally enforce the law, start deporting Iranian regime officials, and protect Canadians here at home?
Here, here. The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me just at the outset say if the individual, if my colleague opposite feels that we need to ensure the protection of Canadians, he will support the passage of Bill C-9. The Conservative Party will pass C-9 today, Mr. Speaker. That is how you protect Canadians. That is how you protect communities. That is how you ensure the safety and security of Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Orleans. Mr. Speaker, the new defense industrial strategy. We'll have to start over. There's too much noise. The Honourable Member, please. Mr. Speaker, the new industrial defense strategy is a testament to our trust in Canada's industrial capacity and our strength on the international scene. $81 billion to rebuild, rearm, and reinvest in our Canadian armed forces. The government has taken concrete action, like investing $900 million in dual-use technology. Can the Minister of Industry tell us about how the strategy will enable us to increase Canada's presence on the global stage and support our industries?
Three.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for her excellent question. Yes, we have presented our new industrial defense strategy. We presented it around 2 weeks ago, and we are in action mode. Today, $900 million were announced. My colleagues for defense and military procurement announced this investment for a new drones center, as well as a new bombardier aircraft made here in Canada. We are creating jobs in Mississauga and Saint Laurent and in Abbotsford in BC. We are creating jobs across the country.
Member for Calgary Heritage.
Under these Liberals, foreign conflicts have spilled onto our streets. Their politics and their soft-on-crime agenda have made Canadians unsafe. 3 GTA synagogues shot, 700 IRGC agents roaming our streets. We've heard only condemnations and thoughts and prayers. An Iranian dissident has now gone missing, with police probing a possible Tehran-linked homicide. Liberal ministers failed to secure borders and failed to deport hundreds of IRGC agents. Decide today. Deport these agents of terror today.
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Speaker, shame on them. We have a law in this House
that they could vote for it with exactly what the Jewish community had asked for, to make sure that they were safe, that we are safe where we pray. They're voting against. By voting against it, they're also voting to keep it legal to display swastikas on our streets. Shame on them if they're talking about safety.
The honourable member for Calgary Heritage. Okay, let's. We're almost at the finish line for the question period. The honourable member for Calgary Heritage.
No action, no details, no surprise. Shame on them, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister's all over the map with 4 positions in 4 days. He supported the decisions of our allies in confronting the Iranian regime at first as legitimate and lawful. Then he regretted the strikes. Then he wouldn't rule out Canadian military action. Even his own caucus doesn't know what his position is. All this with a regime that has killed 150 Canadians on a passenger plane and continues to intimidate Canadians. Our people want to know what he's doing to secure us here at home. When will Liberals finally deport IRGC officials?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to clarify the government's position for my honourable colleague. Successive.
Yes, I would like to hear the clarification. Absolutely. Yeah, the honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, for the benefit of my honourable colleague, allow me to clarify that successive Canadian governments have held that Iran is the principal source of terror in the region. That is why, more than 18 months ago, Canada declared the IRGC as a terrorist entity. That is why Canada supports all efforts to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons. That is why we have declared Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism. All parties have to comply with the rules of international law, Mr. Speaker, and we will work to bring Canadians home safely. Thank you.
The honourable member for Calgary Heritage. Aurora Oak Ridges.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have successfully failed to address the fact that we have terrorists in our streets and there has been zero enforcement of the laws that are already in place. This is happening because the 7 Liberal immigration ministers in the last 10 years have failed to protect our borders, Mr. Speaker, and now hundreds of Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps agents safely reside in Canada, many in my community in Richmond Hill, because Liberal public safety minister after Liberal public safety minister have failed to deport them. Mr. Speaker, when will this Liberal government finally start the...
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, the Department at IRCC have a rigorous process for vetting all applicants who are applying for a visa. In addition, we encourage the opposition to vote in favor of C9, Mr. Speaker, which they are refusing to do. And finally, Mr. Speaker, let me clarify again that on this side of the House, the Iranian regime is a terrorist entity. It is a state sponsor of terrorism. We encourage all parties to respect the rules of international conflict and engagement, and we will work to bring Canadian citizens home safely, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Winnipeg South.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our national parks are national treasures that all Canadians take pride in. 2 years ago, Canadians across the country watched in horror as a monster fire ripped through Jasper National Park, causing thousands to evacuate and leaving many without their homes and businesses. In this crisis, the town has shown all of us how strong, united, and resilient Canadians are. Can the minister responsible for Jasper recovery speak to the whole of government coordination that is moving critical recovery and rebuilding projects forward?
Excellent question.
The Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience.
Mr. Speaker, as an Albertan, I understand the special place that Jasper holds in the hearts of Albertans and Canadians. Last week in Jasper, I announced that our government provided more than $14 million for new housing units to support the people that live and work there. This is in addition to the over $380 million that our government's already provided for recovery. As ministerial lead for Jasper, I'll ensure that Jasper, a place of unparalleled natural beauty, remains a place that Jasperites continue to visit.
The honourable member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, last week a convicted first-degree murderer was released unescorted in Oshawa for 72 hours. This man tortured, raped, and murdered a 14-year-old boy and then threw his body in a garbage room.
Shameful.
Durham Regional Police said he's currently a significant risk and told Oshawa residents to stay vigilant. Will the Prime Minister condemn this decision by the Parole Board of Canada and work with Conservatives to ensure that child killers serve their full sentences and are not released and walking our streets?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the matter this member brings up, Mr. Speaker, is a decision that was made by the Parole Board of Canada, which is an independent entity of government. Let me also say, Mr. Speaker, in order to ensure the safety and security of our children, to ensure that those children who are exploited, we need lawful access as law in Canada, Mr. Speaker. That's why I'm concerned when the Conservative Party absolutely does not move forward on important legislation like C2 and C9, yet pontificates here because they are doing this for the click and bait, Mr. Speaker. What is important is that we pass legislation that's critical for this.
The honourable member for Saanich, Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On February 28th, the United States and Israel launched illegal attacks against Iran. Lloyd Axworthy, former foreign minister of this country, wrote in the Toronto Star that day, Canada once rejected America's aggressive, unlawful foreign policy. Today, the Prime Minister embraced it. He went on to say, and I quote, under the United Nations Charter, cross-border uses of force are prohibited except in two narrow cases. He points out Operation Epic Fury applies to neither. I will ask today, will the Prime Minister belatedly
the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, while we support Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon, this support is not a blank check. Canada reaffirms that international law binds all parties. All actors, including the United States and Israel, must respect the rules of international engagement. There are established international processes for making determinations about international law, and our immediate priority is going to be on de-escalation and the safety of security of civilians and working, Mr. Speaker, to bring Canadians.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's it for a question period today. Alors, on va passer bientôt aux affaires.
We'll move to routine proceedings in just a moment, but we'll give time for members to leave the chamber if they should so desire.
So I think we'll proceed now. If members can leave quietly, we'll proceed with daily routine of business. Affaires courantes ordinaires. Collègues, s'il vous plaît.
Colleagues, please. Some silence, please. Tabling of documents. Introduction of government bills. Statements by ministers. Reports from interparliamentary delegations. Presenting reports from committees. Introduction of private members' bills.
Mr. Albus, seconded by Ms. Conant, moves for leave to introduce a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Canada Post Corporation Act. The motion is deemed adopted. The honourable member for Okanagan Lake West South Kelowna.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to introduce a bill seconded by the MP for Similkameen, South Okanagan, West Kootenay that brings long overdue modernization and national consistency to how Canadians can buy and ship Canadian wine, beer, and spirits across provincial borders. As the Prime Minister often reminds us, we should focus on what we can control. And Mr. Speaker, this Parliament can control this. Canada should be our own best customer, not a place where our products, where our producers face some of their toughest barriers here at home. Right now, it's still easier for a BC winery to ship to Texas than to Toronto. That makes no sense to consumers, for small producers, or for a modern Canadian economy. And this bill creates a simple national framework for direct-to-consumer shipping. It ensures Canada Post provides consistent interprovincial service and allows trusted carriers that follow the same standards to compete and offer Canadians more choice and better service. It replaces a patchwork system of outdated provincial rules with a single, predictable coast-to-coast system. Now, this matters for small wineries, craft breweries, distilleries that want to reach customers across the country. It matters for Canadians who want to access the best of every region, and it matters for Parliament because this is something positive, practical, and long overdue. Mr. Speaker, I hope we can move past the prohibition era, the interprovincial trade barriers that still dog our country by working together across all parties to modernize a system Canadians have waited for far too long. I would gladly work with all parties on accelerating this private members bill or have the Minister of Finance include this framework in his next Budget Implementation Act. And if this Parliament can pass this bill, then yes, we can finally free the grapes, raise our spirits to a glorious pan-Canadian toast from coast to coast to coast. Mr. Speaker, let's free the beer!
Mr. Albus, seconded by Ms. Conant, moves that the bill be now read a first time and be printed. This motion is deemed adopted. When shall the bill be read a second time? At the next sitting of the House.
First reading of this bill, première lecture de ce projet.
Okay, where are we now? Dépôt de projet. Première lecture de projet.
First reading of Senate public bills. Motions. Presenting petitions.
The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an issue of deep concern to members of Saanich Gulf Islands and across Canada. I think every MP in this place knows the scandal that people living with disabilities in this country are far more likely to be living in poverty. We voted and worked on this place to get the Canadian disability benefit through, but at this point, the Canadian disability benefit does not lift people up out of poverty. And at this point, so the petitioners are asking this House to look at the reality that the financial pressures from rising costs are disproportionately falling on these same people with disabilities across Canada, and that any disability support and emergency support they receive ends up occasionally being clawed back, and it is not treated as a benefit that they can keep. So petitioners are being very specifically relying on